Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Hello. 7. 7. Why? 7. Lucky 7. Lucky 7. Gonna give me a pop. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. That's the HVAC though. Check, check, 1, 2. Hello.
So Brittany, come on up. Check. Okay. All right. Brittany Novak is our new student activities coordinator. Brittany is an alum of GCCC, where she obtained her Associates of Science degree in May of 2020. Prior to coming to Garden City Community College, Brittany served as an event coordinator at Southwind Golf and Dining. Additionally, Brittany brings a wealth of customer service experience as she served in roles such as patient access representative with Sienna Medical Clinic, CNA at the Convenient Care Clinic, and sales associate at local businesses in town. Please help me welcome Brittany Novak.
So I'm fairly new with the SGA, but I'm gonna have them introduce each of themselves. I'm gonna start with the president, Yesenia.
Hello, my name is Yesenia Castro. I'm from Garden City, Kansas. I'm an animal science major, and this year I am the 2023 SGA president.
Hello, my name is Evan Littell. I'm from Hugoton, Kansas. Here at Garden City, I'm studying sports administration, and this year I am the vice president. Zevin Littell. Zevin.
I'm Drake Jones. I'm from Cache, Oklahoma. I'll be getting my associates in chemistry here, and I'm the secretary.
Hello, my name is Jessica Budara. I am from Garden City, Kansas, and I am PR design.
Hello. PR and
For the next couple weeks, we are working on homecoming. Last week we had our little welcome back for the students since we were short on time the beginning weeks of school. And so we had a pretty good turnout. We had a lot of yard activities and a couple tournaments where students were able to win prizes. And this next week is homecoming week, and we will be doing things each day. For the first Monday, we'll have Constitution Day. We'll have a quiz and we'll give a prize out. And then we will also be serving cake. On Tuesday, we are hopefully trying to get a car smash for those students so we can release a little bit of stress they may have. Wednesday, we are doing a Wellness Wednesday with the Phoenix County Health Coalition and the Suicide Prevention. They are sponsoring us with Roots and Zumba for the students. And then they will also be providing t-shirts for our bonfire on Thursday, which will begin at 8:30. And then on Friday, we do not have anything planned since we have to be here or at the football field early in the morning. And that is all we have planned for the next coming weeks.
What do you have planned
for the car smash, we're trying to get it in the academic parking lot, and basically we're having Smith's Auto just kind of donate a car. Obviously, they'll remove all the glass. Okay, if you can, yeah, get them to respond to us, please.
We're that far away.
Yeah. They don't want to answer our emails. Other than that, we've already basically covered everything. For that, we just need the car.
Just need the car. That's
Yeah.
the only thing about car smashes.
Will you be downtown on Friday for that? What, Garden City K?
Yes, we probably will be. Most of us will be. Nope, can never go wrong with food trucks.
I just wanted to say, you guys are taking a journey to be leaders, and I really appreciate that. It's something that you do extracurricular, and it's kind of hard sometimes to stand up in front of people, and it's hard to be plan things. It's hard because a lot of people may criticize you. A lot of people will also be happy, but I just want you to know that there is a lot of value and benefit for being a leader. And thank you for stepping up and doing that. And if there's anything we can do to help, let us know.
Thank you, we appreciate that. It has been a little bit of a difficulty getting going just because everybody's a new member this year and we have a new system that we're going through, but I think it will turn out to be a great year for us. Thank you.
Who'd you email? Doug or Rob? Okay. Second. He's your guy. Tell him Uncle Skeeter said so. Thank you.
Well done. Well, now the report to the SGA. We got that.
Yeah.
New employees.
Okay, first up, Evelyn, come on up. Evelyn, correct me if I say your last name wrong. Evelyn Iguri. Close, Iriguyen. Okay, sorry about that. Evelyn is our new Student Support Services Advisor, a native of Garden City and a former SSS participant. Evelyn is familiar with the needs and resources to connect with first-generation students. While Evelyn attended GCCC, she served as an SSS tutor. She later transferred to Fort Hays State University, where she obtained her undergrad degree and is currently finishing up her Master's of Higher Education in Student Affairs. Prior to GCCC, Evelyn served as a college advisor for Kansas State University College Advising Corporation. Please welcome Evelyn. All right, next up on the Student Services side as well is Jared Powers. Come on up. Jared is our new Assistant Director of Residential Life / Creative Digital Specialist for Athletics. Jared is no stranger to GCCC. He has been employed by Garden City Community College since April of 2022, where he assisted as our part-time game day help. Jared uses his 11 years of being a digital specialist with the local newspaper to assist in providing an exciting game day atmosphere for our student athletes and fans by assisting with the live broadcast and streaming to the web, operating cameras, computers, and designing special projects. Please welcome Jared Powers. All right, Cynthia, come on up. She's now here full-time. Cynthia Preston is our new assessment center proctor. A graduate of GCCC, Cynthia is a familiar face on campus as she previously worked for the Endowment Association as a part-time office assistant since May of 2016. Cynthia has been involved in assisting and coordinating the annual endowment auction for the past 7 years. Cynthia has also served as a part-time receptionist for the Finney County Historical Museum. Please welcome Cynthia Preston. There you go. All right, Jason Bilberry. All right, Jason Bilberry is our new athletic academic advisor. A graduate of Pittsburgh State University, Jason has over 8 years of higher education experience. Prior to GCCC, Jason was employed by Wichita State University, where he served in 2 different roles: recruitment coordinator for the College of Engineering, and later as the regional admissions representative. While at Pittsburgh State University, Jason served as an admissions counselor. Jason holds a Master's of Science in Health, Human Performance, and Recreation. We're very excited to welcome Jason Bilberry. All right, Juliet, come on up. Juliet Rios is entering her first season as the head men's and women's cross-country coach here at GCCC. Juliet comes to Garden City Community College after serving as a graduate assistant coach at Eastern New Mexico University. Juliet began her collegiate career at Highland Community College and later transferred to Dakota State University, where she obtained her Bachelor of Science in Biology. Please welcome Juliet Rios. Ryan Lumpkin, is he here? Didn't see him. Okay. All right, Wasey. Wasey, come on up. Lacey Munsell begins his first season as our assistant rodeo coach, an alumnus of Dodge City Community College. We won't hold that against you. I just wanted to make that clear. Lacey was recruited to be a bullfighter. A native of Ulysses, Kansas, Wasey was introduced to rodeo the day he was born. Wasey grew up in a rodeo family, thus was no surprise when Wasey turned pro on his 18th birthday as a bull rider. Wasey wants to continue to share his passion for bull riding with the future generation to instill a winning mindset to always be their best. Please welcome Wasey Munsell.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Welcome
doing your
aboard.
work. See ya, Cynthia.
We have a report from the faculty senate.
All right. So had a meeting for 6 on that meeting. We at one time, faculty senate would help do these learning communities where kind of different departments would show what they did around campus, talk to people, anyone interested. And then I think it kind of, as we were talking, we kind of thought that stopped around COVID time, but we're talking about bringing that back. The first official one, we're just kind of piggybacking with, since Sean Buller, the choir director, is part of faculty senate, the September learning community is going to be the September 29th faculty recital here at the auditorium, Pauline Joyce. And then we sent out an email to the rest of the faculty just at first to kind of be a light feeler to just say like, does anyone have anything they'd really like to share, or any programs they want to talk about? I know just me personally, as part of Quiz Bowl, we would sometimes towards the end of the year do like a faculty staff Quiz Bowl tournament, but just kind of first start off by sending out feelers just to see if anyone had anything new that they wanted to talk about or anything like that. And one of the things that we're looking at is there's a AI working group to kind of talk about how to maybe not just see AI as a completely bad thing, but maybe help use it as a tool for the students too. So that's one we're looking at later. That was kind of the big thing that we did at this last meeting, was getting that back to kind of resurrecting the learning communities. The new librarian, Julia, she kind of took a look at when we were doing all of our policy reviews, the one that we had for the library needed a lot of work. So she actually volunteered to kind of help start that one. And she's going to meet with us here in the next couple meetings to go over that. And then we'll look at that one to fix up. But that was kind of the main highlights of the last meeting.
Cody, tell me about AI. What kind of presence is it on the campus? I mean, is there any application for it at all right now?
That's kind of what we're trying to figure out, is how to, because I mean, there's like anything else, anytime there's something new, it's scary at first and people want to look at it as, oh, it's just bad and cheating and things like that. But also maybe it could be used as, if you're giving it this prompt and then it writes this out to you and then you're reading it and tweaking it, it's kind of the same as going to Google and reading WebMD and trying to tweak that too. So as long as it's correct information and maybe just trying to help them be better consumers of what they're reading instead of just here's a copy paste, and trying to be able to help the students as teachers see it as more of a tool and not just help you kind of cheat with this, I guess. But that's kind of what we're looking at now, is like, it's here, people are using it. So how can we maybe help them use it in a smart way instead of just something else? So.
Cool.
Yeah, the only other thing I was going to say is just in relationship to AI, even outside the classroom, we have a chatbot that is on our website that's driven by AI technology. So that help interfaces students, community members to be able to utilize that feature in answers to questions they have. A lot of business there, particularly on
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you. Well, moving right along, we'll go to the consent agenda. I would ask if Ms. Board, if there are any additions, deletions, or exceptions that you have to any of those items that are listed there before we ask for a vote. If you want to set out item D. If there are none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I so move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of the approval of number D.
And the motion made, is there a second? Second. Made and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 We'll move on along then to item D, approval of the 23-24 budget. Starts on 32. Are there any comments that anybody on this board has to make or wants to bring up?
I would just highlight And if there's questions, we can press those and get those, but just to highlight, I know we've been down the journey, for the last several months, just going through budget planning and through the retreat process, and everything that relates to revenue neutral rate there. But on the cover sheet, we did illustrate and highlight that we would have general fund mill levy set at 24,525 this next year, as well as capital outlay of 0.741. That represents a 0.01 decrease in our mill rate. So just wanted to kind of point that out there, that it would be representing a decrease in our mill rate there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Ruda, but I feel like this resolution must be voted on and approved before we can vote and approve on item B.
Correct.
Okay.
Do the resolution.
I just want to make sure I got the order right, that this felt like it hinged on the resolution being adopted.
Questions from this board will.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-2, a resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate as defined by Senate Bill 13 and House Bill 2104, and is established by the county clerk of Finney County, Kansas. Whereas the Board of Trustees of Garden City Community College Board of Trustees notified the county clerk of Finney County, Kansas, notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate on or before July 20th, 2023, of the intent of the Board of Trustees to exceed the revenue neutral rate of 23.353 mils established by the county clerk. And whereas the Board of Trustees placed the notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate on the Garden City Community College website and published the notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate in the Garden City Telegram at least 10 days prior to August 29th, 2023. And whereas the notice of intent to exceed the revenue neutral rate set a tax rate and budget hearing for August 29th, 2023 at 7:30 a.m. in the Fry Eye Conference Room in the Student and Community Service Center. And whereas the tax rate and budget hearing will be held on August 29th, 2023, at which time taxpayers were given an opportunity to comment on the tax rate and budget. And whereas the following tax rate and budget hearing, the Board of Trustees discussed the tax rate and budget and determined that the revenue neutral rate established by the county clerk should be exceeded for Garden City Community College's 2023-24 budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Garden City Community College as follows. Number one, the Board of Trustees shall exceed the revenue neutral rate of 23.353 mils by approving a mill levy of 25.266 mils. The Board of Trustees will review and adopt the Garden City Community College 2023-2024 budget to be discussed at the tax rate and budget hearing on August 29th, 2023. Number three, on or before October 1st, 2023, the Board of Trustees shall certify to the county clerk the ad valorem tax to be levied by the Board of Trustees.
Reading of the resolution, is there any more comments from this board? Take a vote.
We need a second.
Need a second first.
Oh, I'll second that motion.
Take a vote by individual roll call. Yes or no? Marilyn,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Shanda,
Yes.
Leonard hits yes. Motion carried. Resolution is in effect. Moving right along. For the confirmation of monitoring reports.
Leonard, I think we have to approve item D on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
But because the mills were part of this, we had to start with that.
All right.
Here. Yeah, page 32. Any further discussion and or
All right.
motion and second?
Further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Hearing none, motion carried.
No, we didn't. We need to back up.
We didn't have a motion in a second to get to the vote.
I move that we approve and adopt the 2023-24 budget and certify the 2023 tax to be levied at $14,417,977, 24.525 mils, general fund, and $435,865 for capital outlay at 0.0741 mils.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Carried. Now we can go to the monitoring report. Yeah, we don't do it every day. On page 36, 35. Policy title, board job description.
Oh, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and lead the discussion on this. So the report is on number 7 and number 8 of the board job description. So I'll give you just a minute to review those and then we'll talk about them.
Any discussion on this from anyone?
Okay, in front of you, you have a written report that answers to number 7 and number 8. Let's go ahead and look at those because there's some items to talk about. So number 7, the advocate for the values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and compassion, respect and welcome all people equally. So if you remember, we inserted this into policy governance in 2021. And then I should say we inserted the definitions of DEI. Administration had already set in motion a DEI committee, and that's composed of students, staff, and faculty with their objectives to provide educational opportunities for students, staff, and faculty, and to provide resources of information pertaining to DEI. So for our part, as the Board of Trustees, we look at what we can do to continue to encourage diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus. And if you recall, we talked about this at the July 2023 retreat that Shanda led, and she used the resource from ACCT Equity Action Agenda for Community College Governance. In that document, there's some questions to pose to a board to talk about their DEI policies, actions, or beliefs that we could take as a board. So that's one thing that I suggested that we talk about today, is whether you're satisfied with that conversation that we had in July, or do we need to build on it? And some of the suggestions I would raise is looking at assessment of equity gaps that we might have here on campus. And if we do, set some goals to improve those. Comments?
I think one thing that we haven't really talked about here that's part of kind of the ongoing is our discussion to invite different community leaders of different community groups and to come visit with us and share what the needs that they see in the community they work within. So that way we can reach out to different parts of the community through them. So I think, in my mind, that's an ongoing goal and process to be monitored.
We're doing our evaluation, self-evaluations. And some of those questions that were set at the end of that, and that was one. And I thought at that time we were going to think about these, and we were going to discuss them at this meeting. Whether we wanted the community members really evaluating us, the college constituents, CEO be evaluated.
Okay, so Leonard, I'm gonna back up a bit. This document, the self-assessment is the monthly self-assessment of the action that happens at the meeting. It's, so I'm not sure if we're satisfied with this for our self-assessment, or if we should do our big self-assessment where we talk about issues and.
Like we've done online and submitted.
Correct, correct. And so we're getting into two topics here. So let's, yeah, so let's jump back to DEI first. I feel like there's more that we can talk about, and I forgot, Shanda, about the invite to the community leaders. So I still like that idea. How about you, the rest of the board?
I have asked Sister Janice to come next month. And as long as she can do it, she said that she'd be happy to be here.
I personally feel like this outreach would be a great year-long project, or until we run out of people that respond. You know, a learning year for us in information gathering, and make sure we are looking at what we need to be looking at and what our community wants us to be looking at.
Okay.
It's one of the ways we can improve, whether we like to hear criticism or not. I think now, because we don't know about it if we don't do it. I'm not opposed in any way to inviting people to come listen or bring comments, suggestions. Getting them here, I guess, is the challenge. And who is it that we bring? Can that come as a voluntary thing, or do we want to sit here and identify those that we think we'd like to have come? That would be a question for me. It really doesn't matter. It is their college. And I think we need to emphasize that to the community. It is your college. You need to tell us what you think.
Marilyn, you mentioned earlier, I think, about equity. What can you explain that a little bit more of what you were concerned about?
Yeah, and help me out. For example, when we report how many students graduate, breaking out the data as to how many Hispanics graduate, how many Blacks graduate, how many any other kind of group graduates, and look at to see if there's some struggles that they're facing to graduate compared to other groups. And I think the common one that I heard at the national conference is Black men have struggles with graduating. So, but that's just one example. Do you have some others?
Yeah, I think, you know, many of the things since we've undergone the strategic enrollment management process speaks to exactly this this conversation there as far as equity gaps, whether it's in graduation, whether it's in retention. There's a lot of ways to be able to slice it. We've started to do this work. We have seven working committees as part of our strategic goal. We're all looking at different measures, different data points to really discern how it is that we can dissect and then put in some processes.
I think yeah, thank you. And it dovetails with strategic enrollment management. It dovetails with some assessment continuous improvement practices. One of the things we're working on as there's a group revising academic 5-year program review and looking at some student success data and disaggregating it, or I hate that word, but just pulling it apart by how are different populations of students doing who may have had different life experiences. So certainly race and ethnicity, but also, for example, low income students. How are they doing compared to other populations of students who are first generation students to college? How are they doing as opposed to students who are not first generation? And by looking at those comparisons, we might find where there are barriers that students have. And then if we can identify those barriers, the college can deploy services, resources, those sorts of things that might help those students, provide an extra, never lowering a standard of success and achievement, but finding ways to provide additional things that might help those students. That was the element I wanted to add. I will mute.
Okay.
Well, I believe that as far as the board goes, inviting these community members to come talk to us, considering that Garden City is very diverse, is a step in the right direction for us. As far as the college, I believe they're doing, what needs to be done. And I don't know that we need to change anything on that. They're doing an excellent job of, like I said, getting all these committees together. The other processes we've approved, I don't think anything needs to change on their part.
So I agree. I think they have work in progress going. And I think we just need to disaggregate that data to see if there's any other somethings to work at. The idea of inviting the community leaders to come and speak, to me, it sounds like we're asking our leaders, do they see any problems for their populations getting to come and be a student at Garden City Community College, whether it's financial struggles or language barriers, or they're afraid, or they can't find childcare, or there could be lots of reasons. And I think that would be great information for us to start pulling in and tracking. And then we could work with administration to see if there's any other interventions that we could do to help those folks.
I think this is important for ownership linkage
For
as
sure.
it is for DEI.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why we're getting at two different report, but I agree 100%. I'm not opposed to anybody coming in here and telling me what they think. I don't know that we'll have solutions for them. I don't know that we'll even agree with their problem. We don't know if they don't come and tell us. I'm willing to listen to anyone.
We could also have the personnel from the East Garden Village trailer come in and talk to us. They're going to hear it firsthand out there amongst the citizens.
All right. All right. Bob, when you talked to Sister Janice, what did you ask her to speak about?
Basically what you all have been saying. The only problem would be at times she isn't available, she has to run somebody to Wichita or I've done that in the past, but it wouldn't help if I ran, if she had somebody going, I'd have to be here too, so. I mean, I think she's gonna try, I've asked her, you know, what do you see from all the people? She helps people every day, not so much be Garden City Community College students, but what could we as a college do to help her and or those people that she's trying to get help to? That's what I'm asking.
So I kind of see this as she gets to be the pilot project.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how it goes, okay?
Yeah.
So I like that idea, as well as we, as a board, support and encourage administration to keep up with their STEM, not STEM, SAM plans. So the second thing that I would add that helps to answer number 7 was that back in our board retreat, we also talked about the new law that's going into effect, Fairness in Women's Sports Act. Remember, we had a pretty lively discussion about that, but we came to the consensus that we would comply with the law's instructions regarding identifying gender in sports. So do you feel like we are working on diversity, equity, inclusion, and compassion as a board?
Yes. Yeah, I
I
thought
do
we had
too.
identified
Yeah.
male sports, female sports, and intramural, what they were. That satisfied what we were talking about.
Yeah, as far as the monitoring report goes on number 7, I feel like we're growing in that every day, and he did a good job of putting the monitoring report together.
Okay, it's work in progress, I can tell you that. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Continual board development will include orientation of new board members and ongoing trustee education. So the policy talks about that we set goals for education for the board or goals for the next year. And then we take the time to evaluate to see if we met those goals. So there is 2 separate documents that I put together. The first one is the 2022 board objectives that we developed after we did our self-assessment. And we have not, as a board, looked at these to decide if we've accomplished them or not. So I was hoping that we could take the time to do that. And then the second piece of paper is the 2023 objectives. And I just gleaned those from the agenda from the July 23 board retreat. So let's begin with June 2022 board objectives. We decided that we all needed some more professional development, and the answer to that is that 3 members had attended the 2022 National ACCT Conference, and we shared our information at the December 22 board meeting. We also attended a board retreat that was facilitated by Dr. Pam Fisher in June. And there we had several topics of discussion, which I listed there. So did we meet that objective?
As far as I'm concerned, we did.
Okay.
Within what we were able to have the time to do or the expertise to understand. You made the effort, and I think it was a good effort.
Any other thoughts? Okay, I agree. I think we did make some efforts to provide education to board members. And of course, in any situation, there's always more that you can learn. So, all right,
Only so much time.
right.
And when we have this many goals, it's
Well, I look back,
hard to go deep in every one.
I look back at history, and this board orientation kind of hits home with me because as far as I'm concerned, I had no orientation. This is the first time we really put any effort out at identifying and having board orientation. I don't think it was existent.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
Number two, some of the topics that we identified we need some education on. The first and biggest one was HLC accreditation. And as you recall, we had monthly presentations by Dr. Mark Malone, which helped us to be comfortable with HLC interview and evaluation. And of course, we were successful with the HLC accreditation.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things in my mind that this has happened as far as getting ourselves right with HLC is having Dr. Malone here and his expertise and all of this. I think kind of the groundwork was laid prior to his coming when we had Jackie Messenger here, but what I see having happened is we had a man come in that we hired, and I would give credit to Dr. Ruda for recognizing that person as being the person that we needed. And I think he has done an exceptional job for us as far as getting us online with where we need to be with HLC and keeping us online with HLC.
That also goes to number one, is training towards the board. Yeah,
Correct.
fulfilling that training every month. So
Correct.
we can include that.
Agreed. All right. One topic that was brought up was public image, and I don't know that we addressed that one, so that one may be a carryover for the next time.
Well, to me, that's almost part of that HLC because so much of our image is wrapped up in that accreditation that's how we make improvements to our public image is
For sure.
getting through that successfully. So,
And it also goes with Dr. Ruda's coffee with the president. And when he first come on the live Facebook meetings, and everything he's done so far has improved the public image of the college. So
I think we were light on that, but I don't think it was ignored.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think the other piece that the board has done there too is having one of the trustees represented on each of the
Advisory committees.
Yes. That has significant presence, public image, and shows interest in what is being done.
By moving around the community, I just feel and see and hear a lot of positive comments about the public's image of this institution since we've got to the point we have Dr. Ruda, who is out visible in the community, willing to visit with anybody that has any questions.
one of the things I hear is the continuation, I mean, the openness of the community college, what we're doing, what we're wanting the community to be involved. But that's a very positive image of in our community.
Can we improve on that? Probably. I don't know.
I would say, again, work in progress. Okay. To add to that, workforce development, and I really appreciate Trustee Dave Rupp as he represents economic development and talking about what's going on in the community there, as well as President Ruda and his information that he provides from the chamber and from business relationships that the college grows and eventually provides business for us. So number 2, did we meet the goal?
Yes.
All right, number 3, we talked about that some policies need to be revised. Initially, there was talk about a committee to do this. I don't think the committee got started, but we did make some policy revisions and I listed those there for you. So I feel like, yes, we met the goal, but again, it's work in progress.
Well, the environment we're working in, our community changes all the time, so we always got to keep an eye on them.
Sure. Number 4, review the process of monitoring reports and effectiveness. We did not do any work on that. So we could carry that over or we can leave it be. We'll come back to that one. Number 5, we accomplished by adding the board job description to the monitoring calendar as an annual report, and that's how this report came up. Number 6, the board will continue to plan for the future and engage in discussions that concern our communities. So we talked a little bit about this in kind of general terms. We do get information again from economic development, from the Bronchbuster Association, and from GCC Endowment. I think that's another ongoing goal.
I think you could safely say everything's on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, number 7, we know we met. Number 8, we also met. That we added the Board of Trustee Code of Conduct attestation and signature that everyone signs in February. So going forward from this plan, I think we, like you mentioned, keep working on these topics, continuously revise policies, and continuously work on thinking about the future and the vision for the college.
I think that's one thing that we need to do is be alert, not be afraid to bring something up. Maybe it's not something everybody thinks is right, but at least it's brought out. I think our responsibility is to keep our eyes and ears open and be making everyone aware of it.
Administration, is there any other direction that you need from us regarding any of these topics?
Any suggestions?
No, I think just on the general understanding, you know, from the conversations we've had, particularly on equity gaps, knowing that it's program review, information and data is being brought forward, that those are lenses that we're looking at. Just being aware, you know, look at that information going forward. You know, and then I think from that end, they're also there, just being able to have some ongoing conversation about what it is that's being seen, and the data, what it is that is being put into place to address items that we're seeing as far as equity gaps. So I think those are things just to be cognizant and aware of there as we go forward, that those need to be ongoing conversations for accountability.
Okay.
As I've said many times, my objective for Garden City Community College is to be the shining light at the top of the hill, and I think we're making progress in that. I wish that we could get more attention statewide. Not really sure how to do that, but I think with the reports of being one of the best places to work is a step forward in being that shining light at the top of the hill. And I think that we are known and seen by the rest of the community colleges in the state. I think we can always be better, but I'd rather be here than any of the rest of them.
I don't know that that's a summit you ever reached, but something that's fine.
Well, I would just add that, Leonard, that, you know, I think that Ryan is serving in leadership positions this year is, from a selfish perspective, it does take away from him being out, but, you know, it's good for us as an institution to have him represent the community college, and, you know, it does a great job. So, you know, I really appreciate him volunteering to in those positions.
Thank you, Carla, for bringing that up, because that is probably in my mind one of the biggest things that's happened this year. Maybe he's just a flashlight that's up there, or a candle. At least it's getting started, and we're getting the notoriety among the rest of the state. Thank you, sir.
All right, any other comments about 2022 objectives? If not, we'll move on to 2023. Advocate for the values of campus-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion at the 2023 board retreat. Specifically, we did toss around the idea of whether or not we wanted to change the mission statement, and decided that we did not need to do that. And then, just like we mentioned in this previous conversation, looking for more data to see if there's any problems with equal access and success for students. So that is ongoing. As a board, I think we set the expectation, and administration and the committees are running with it and doing well with it. All right, the second objective at that retreat was discussing a succession plan for board leadership. And I just wrote that down, what I remembered that we decided. So please review that and make sure I stated things correctly. That at the November board meeting, we will talk about what the positions are and what the representative of each of the groups are, and ask for declarations or intentions to serve in those positions. And then in the December meeting, candidates could take some time to speak about their intentions, with the idea that that would be helpful to the new board members, because they would hopefully be there in December, where we would invite them and then still plan our January board meeting to vote. Does that sound right?
Yes.
I
Okay.
think that'll make a smoother January meeting.
Okay. All right. Board self-assessment was on that agenda, but I don't know that we talked about it. I think we ran out of time. What is the board's feelings about doing the self-assessment again?
I don't think it ever hurts. to review the assessment.
I believe it should be done at least once a year. The complete one like we did with ACCT.
Or every other year, then that encompasses as board members go off and go on.
We need to always be willing to look at ourselves objectively and answer the question, are we doing it? Are we right in what we're doing?
Yeah. So the nice thing about the ACCT assessment tool is that we get to compare from previous years and collect some trends or data. We can see where we're growing in things or see where we're not. So
history tells you a lot.
What was the date of the last one we did with Pamela?
June, it was discussed in June 22.
So should we look at potentially summer 24? Or
It's
do you
up
want
to
to
you
do it
guys.
again?
It's a
23.
board decision.
I think we should do it in 23. Well,
I mean,
or early 24, so the new board members can have something to look at and know what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
I just wondered if sticking with the
I was
June
thinking
or
this was
summertime,
22.
it gives them a couple of months to get in, I don't want to throw at anybody new. Hey, welcome aboard. This is what we're doing.
I think, Bob, so we did it in April, March, April. Does that sound right? And then it was ready for the June meeting. How did you feel about that?
Well,
Since you asked.
I was trying to take it all in. There's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But I believe it's a doable thing. It really is. The longer you're around it. And I think going to New York and listening to that group of people as well also helped. So yeah, I don't think that's a deterrent at all.
So is the consensus to skip 23 and go for 24? Is that what I hear? Or
I would think that there might be some advantage to doing it the first part of 2024. For those new board members, if there are new board members,
At least one.
have an opportunity to kind of know where we are and what we're thinking. If we skip it, they're behind the 8 ball until we do it.
We're just kind of late in 2023 to try to
Yeah.
accomplish
This
any
is September
holidays.
already.
I think 2024 calendar year is realistic.
it's around the corner, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Closer than
February,
we want to admit.
February or March of 2024 would be a good time that'd be a good indoctrination for new board members. If we have new ones.
Okay.
We will have one.
I know.
I know, you make it right.
Yeah, get 3 of them.
Oh, shoot.
That may have 3.
You think that's maybe too?
Yeah.
All right. Shanda, did you want to add anything to this? As far as objectives? Or does the board have any other objectives for the rest of 23?
I don't, Marilyn, I don't know of anything else that I could add. I think what we've gone over tonight has been very helpful. Appreciate your work in all of this. Brought a lot of light to some things that we needed to have reviewed as we were going along.
I don't really have anything to add. It feels like over the last couple of years, we've had so many things, HLC and this and that. I like having a shorter list and going deeper on fewer instead of hitting the highlights on so many.
I agree.
If that makes if I'm communicating what I'm thinking
Yeah.
adequately.
Dave, Bob, you guys have any additions?
No.
Miss Beth?
You did great.
Okay, thank you.
You can leave your mark by setting our goals and we'll just make sure and keep working towards your goals for you.
Right.
Are we done with monitoring reports?
I am just reviewing my notes here.
Number 6 on the next one. We have one more monitoring report.
Okay, the last part of number 8 talks about the new board trustees orientation. A few sentences at the very end of the report says that new board members will attend the orientation facilitated by the board chair and the CEO. The GCCC Board of Trustees handbook was developed in 2022. Each trustee has a copy or will be given a copy, and talks about basic trustee information, trustee contacts, the function and organization of the board, the fiscal operations, and references that include the Kansas statutes regarding community college governance. So I submit those to you guys, and I would ask that we are satisfied with the report.
Yes.
Satisfied.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. For the time and effort.
And there are no other monitoring reports or nothing else to review from last time. I think we're caught up. Right, Jody?
You could have skipped that, Joe.
Okay.
This doesn't have number 8 on it. You did 7 and 8, and this has
Number 7, 8 was from last month.
oh, okay, yeah.
All right, so number 6 from board job description is the report from BAA and the Endowment Association.
Ready for that?
Oh, always.
Okay.
So as far as the BAA is concerned, they've continued to work on the weaknesses pointed out in the last audit over the last 6 months. The membership of the board had gone back below the required 12 during the spring. However, has rebounded to 13 as of today. They were having a little trouble before the numbers went down to have a quorum, but since getting new members on board, they have met the requirements until last night. It was one short. Chairperson is initially the finances after the board reviews and approves them, which was a point in the audit. Fundraising continues to be in the forefront of the organization, but some issues have hindered that activity. The partnership with the fundraising organization Story, who is the group that's going after national recognition, has not resulted in any positive outcomes yet. Luckily, it doesn't cost us anything. The annual golf tournament had to be canceled for this year due to scheduling conflicts because of another larger tournament going on the same day at the other golf course. They do have it scheduled for early spring this year. And the first BA luncheon was held yesterday and had 7 community members in attendance. I don't know that I sent this to you, Jody, but I'll give this to you when I get done. That's all.
Yeah, we were having a community luncheon yesterday.
We have one on the, next one's on the 9th, I think, of October, when we're headed to
Okay.
out west.
To me, it sounds like that there's some struggles there.
I think you're right on.
And is there something that we can do, or
I don't know, they're constantly going out. I mean, working with Scott so they don't hit everybody up 3 times on fundraising. You know, we got so many different entities asking for money, trying to come up with new ideas to go out and fundraise. But there's so many activities going on in this community that has a problem. And they're still, I think, fighting some of the old stereotypes from past officers.
Yeah, and I think some of what we've ran into there, just globally, that you're in an environment there that is very unstable and insecure when it comes to fundraising right now. You know, if you just take a look at where things are at in markets, I mean, a lot of the conversations we've had with individuals are more of a wait and see approach than giving and contributing right now. You know, we've had very good conversations, discussions with a lot of individuals and businesses here in town. I think there's very much just an unstable, insecure feeling about where it is that contributions, donations can be out there right now. And I think a lot of it, you just take a look at markets, you take a look at where things are out there with interest rates and everything. And it's some of what we're experiencing here, particularly this past year. And I think the image of BAA has been very much restored. Part of what we've heard, I think, you know, to Dave's point, I think those are things you're always going to deal with. You're always going to deal with things of the past. You have to work through that. But we have made great strides there within BAA. Dave can speak to this there as well, but you know, for years, one of the findings was we did not have enough board members. That was a point that was brought forward there each year. We've been able to meet, maintain, and add members.
Continuous work as far as the board members. Dr. Ridley, at that point, you know, we have now got to
13.
Which, you know, we did dip a little bit, but with the new board members, they're able to bring on additional, the rate to get back up to the 13 as well, at least what we have. But that doesn't stop us. We're still continuing to want to get more out of it. You know, we have that push a little bit, but still going to you want the communication and the growth together to be able to fundraise that. And that's what we strive for.
And several of those new board members too are, I say younger, everybody's younger, and have children playing in activities, sports and things like that. So they miss these meetings because somebody's got a volleyball or basketball deal. So I know that athletic director puts out to the board members, and so does Ashley, at least a week ahead of time. You know, the board meeting is this time, and so the notification's out there. It's just busy schedules.
A lot of the being a board member on the BAA is commitment. You gotta have somebody that's committed. I was part of the organizing group. We went out as first off, the thought was everyone would get 5 members to go out with them, and they would do the fundraising. Got to the point that just better off doing it yourself rather than spending your time getting those 5 people to go to work. we went out with the idea, you give it us once, we won't come back to you again for another sport. And I think maybe sometimes we've lost sight of that, and we have other people out getting a little more for this or a little more for that. Maybe they don't understand that that's the purpose. The CEO of the BAA is the athletic director. And I think maybe there's a little fallback there with inexperience. I have nothing against the AD. He's got his hands full as it is, but I don't think he's really been experienced in really motivating and running the BAA and getting those people out and doing what they're supposed to do. Go back and put names of what they did. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the future. If there's anything I can do, glad to help.
Again, I brought up at one meeting, again, when Scott first got hired on, to make sure that the BEA and Scott, endowment, everybody was online, with not everybody going out to Shanda, having Shanda has 3 people come up to her business and saying, we need money for the college. So Scott's done a good job of coordinating with the AD of who's talking to who, so.
On that note, how is it determined, hey, we're gonna go talk to business ABC? They've given to BAA, they've given to endowment, and plus we got this tax credit and this other stuff we wanna do. If we're not gonna hit them all those times, how is it determined which organization gets hit on, on their behalf? Who gets left out? You know what I mean? Does that make any sense at all? If you're doing a scholarship initiative, you're doing a scoreboard initiative, you've got all these different initiatives going on. We're gonna go out to Skeeter's Body Shop.
Right.
Which initiative are we gonna hit them with, and how is that chosen if we're not gonna hit them multiple times?
So I think the approach that we've taken, I'd say the approach Scott and I have taken there when we've gone out to several businesses and talked with individuals is really presenting the breadth of what it is that's available. So we have the scholarship initiative. Here's our BA incentive packages. Here's what we have available as far as tax credits. And really just having a conversation, are there any of these, or which one of these would benefit you the most? Which one of these are you passionate about the most? So a lot of it is, we have folders that have all of the information in there. Really just kind of laying it out there and saying, where does the passion lie? Where does your interest lie? Are any of these options something that so, that's kind of been the approach that we've taken there is provide the array of opportunities that are available and then let them kind of be able to choose and see what it is.
So basically BAA and endowment need to see where you guys have already gone to see what's left for us to solicit from.
That's not productive.
Because if you're
No.
putting the array out there.
Right.
I think
Then-
Scott's coordinating all of it, is he?
Yeah, so we
Has
have.
a pulse on it.
Yeah, and so that's why we've had Scott attending BAA and endowment, is just so that there's an understanding and listening to what it is and who it is we're talking about. If there's new individuals that are being discussed that maybe we didn't have on the radar.
So for you guys to put on your radar for Scott, but not for endowment list or BAA donors. So they're feeding businesses and names of donors to you guys, for you guys to go out. I'm just trying to figure out what donors they can directly work with for.
I think the main objective was to have Scott and AD talk was, when they go out for, say, to get a bank that says $100,000, that the next day somebody doesn't come out and ask for more money.
Right. So
Yeah.
But I think, individually, the board members every year have a list of names that they've contacted and they still
like
go
for
out.
auction cash.
Do we
Right.
take them off? I guess that's why
Yeah.
I'm trying to
No.
figure out
No, I don't
how,
think
how
so.
does
I think
that
it's the-
work if we're not gonna hit them 3 times?
Right.
Somebody's gonna miss out.
Yeah, on the BAA, I mean, a lot of that is tickets, through the packages. So you have your tickets, your season tickets, your reserved seat. A lot of that is through the packages of BAA. So that's some of the drive they were telling me. They want to make sure they get their reserved seating. They want to make sure they're on the list and make sure you check back with you next year. Those are your packages. That's what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Big ass.
And that's what I meant by the big ask, because those
Yeah.
two coordinating that we're not hitting someone up for 100,000, next day go up and asking for 5,000.
Yeah, because I think, I mean,
Then that
what,
takes out the cash donors to the auction. We've got to,
Well, I
So
know what we
that's,
can do
that's
with,
why I want to figure out what this actually.
we'll have Scott bring out a
Looks like-
van and 6 individuals hit him up right after him.
well, I think, I mean, more than anything, it's having some concerted effort so that there's conversations, so as we get a new endowment director hired, I mean, the expectation is that individual is going out and having conversations and talking to individuals. But as part of that, it's filtering back, so it's really 2 pieces. I mean, one is, yes, being able to have conversations with Scott that, have talked to this individual as somebody that you think is worthwhile for me to talk to. But the other piece is that we have done a terrible job as a college for decades, not tracking anything about donors. So, there's limited information in our database that really talks about for how many years has somebody given to BAA or to the Endowment Association. What have they given? What is their interest? And so a big piece of what we're putting in place and putting together is going to be that database to where it's not necessarily going to Scott and saying, what do you think about talking to this individual, but it's having a database so that we have information to know that, hey, if I want to go out and talk to Shander, I want to go out and talk to Beth, there's a history and a tracking to know this person's had a history of giving to the Endowment Association for the last 10 years. They're committed, they have an interest. So we can be able to see what that historical giving has been. But I think the other side of that there is that we've tried to make promises there, particularly from our standpoint about trying to have a concerted advancement strategy so that we limit the number of asks and limit the number of times that we're going out and talking to the same individual for the college. So, I don't know that we necessarily have the right answer for what you're saying, but
Well,
I
and I'm
think a
not
piece of it
asking
there
for all
is,
the details to be figured out. It just,
no. I think
as he
it's-
was talking about some of their, I'm like, how do
Yeah.
these 2 organizations know what they need to do, especially the volunteer members?
It comes down to the database. So part of what we're looking at is implementing a database so that, Mike or Ashley are over in athletics wanting to look and see what a donor's history is, or Barb and endowment wants to look and see what donor's history is. Scott, that there's a collective sharing of that information so we could see and be able to track. Because you're going to hit the same individuals over and over regardless. You're going to
Yeah.
ask them for cash
And I
donations.
guess when I kept hearing, so we don't hit them over, and I'm like, then somebody's gonna lose, because how many donors do we have that do BAA, they do endowment, they do direct mail, they do, I'm like, okay, if we put them on the do not call list,
Right.
somebody's getting shafted. And that's what it kept sounding like when I kept hearing, so we don't keep contacting them. Well, if you just went and contacted them about
Right.
a scholarship initiative, David's out on BAA, I'm out on endowment
Right.
because we're not gonna recontact. So that's where I guess there was some confusion for me on what that would actually, what impact that would have on these 2 organizations
I think
and their
it's being able
fundraising
to-
independently from the college.
Yeah, sure.
On the history.
I think some of that's also being able to get clean data going forward, because as you're going out and talking with individuals, you do have some that say, I don't have the interest in giving to athletics. that's a one-off conversation that I'm having, and it's not being tracked and documented anywhere. Guess what? Next year, I'm gonna go out and talk to this individual. They're gonna be upset because I just told you last year, I'm not interested in athletics. So historically, we have not had anywhere to be able to track that to say, do not contact this donor for athletics. This donor has indicated that they don't have an interest in athletics. So that we can have that tracking mechanism in place here for us. But by and large, it's really about just being able to have clean donor data that we have going forward.
The history was, the BAA had their list of donors, whether it's $5 ones or $1,000. And those were assigned to individuals to go out and talk to. What I'm seeing right now is some of these people who have been there forever haven't even been contacted. I've had that voice to me. Endowment had their list, but we really never ever conflicted. We were more after the athletes, the athletics. They were more into the student side of, or the academic side, I guess you would say. To me, I think still the problem is we've let it deteriorate where that list is not what it used to be. How do you build it if you don't go out and recruit new people who want to give to athletics? Complicate that problem is a lot of those people who did give big time have either died or they just don't care to come anymore because we're not competitive. It's not an entertainment. The BAA was for athletics, basically football and basketball. And that was an entertainment thing that they all went to throughout the fall and the winter. We've lost that edge.
So Leonard, I would just disagree with you. I think that they have collected some great donations. You have, the Scooter Bowl and you have the Scooter Volleyball Tournament.
Yeah, shooters and.
Yeah.
The sponsorship for the
Scooters,
scooters, the baseball.
And then the list is there,
Yeah.
some, as far as.
There's money coming
with the
in.
History of commitment to going after some people.
It's just,
that are
it's
deciding
new
to give.
business.
Yes.
It's bigger ticket items instead of.
Yeah.
That's the business. The BAA basically was individuals or individuals who owned companies that were part of the BAA roster that they went out after. Yes, we have scooters. I don't know whether we've got another big commercial business that's a donor right now to the BAA. That's wonderful.
I
Sitting right next to you.
wrote something.
Well, I think you understand what I'm saying.
And see, I guess I feel like we fall into kind of that small business locals, yeah.
Calzanetti.
I'll tell you the other thing that's really compounded and changed, particularly over the last 10 years, very rarely, when the VA and endowment have gone out and fundraised, very rarely did you run into issues where you were competing with a lot of these other organizations. Well, now you have high schools and middle schools that are raising money for all their organizations. Now you have travel ball clubs. Now you have gymnastics. Now you have cheerleading. And so when we're going out, we're talking. And it may not even just be the college that's sitting here and an individual's telling us this is the third time I've talked to the college. They are inundated.
Local
with
businesses
asks
are hit hard.
So that has changed. 10 years ago, you didn't have a lot of these travel clubs and organizations that were going out fundraising as strongly as what they are now. That's changed our culture tremendously.
I think the main objective of coordinating between AD and Scott was the point of public image. Of to not getting to that point, 10 different people going out at the same day and asking for money, or like you said, somebody asking for money, he says, no, I don't support that. And then next week, somebody else goes out and I say, well, you dummy, I told you last week that it.
I think we just have to be patient, and I think
It's growing.
the hurdles will work out with all of that. But we do have good people in place that are working together, right?
Okay, I guess we'll go right into endowment from there. With the
Thank you.
filling in between. Biggest thing really is Carla and Barb and everybody in the office working to get the books and all of that in line, and merged over to consolidate that. We do have a couple interviews scheduled for the director position. Direct mail's gone out. Some of you may have seen that. Phonathon is coming up. Anybody wants to volunteer some time? Come hang out on endowment night, make some phone calls. Maybe I have it on here. The scholarship celebration, they changed the date on that a couple of times because they're trying to get the practice gym. I think they're now looking like it might end up being after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I looked on our calendar to see if it got put on there, but it must be too far out. And by the time we get done with scholarship celebration, it'll be Christmas break, and then I'll be talking to you about auction. So,
We haven't set a date. So
okay, I knew there was some conversation with Ashley going back and forth on dates, so to be announced soon. Yeah. That part.
You did. You did a good
My
job.
part was brief.
I guess that we're ready for any public comments. None. Then we're ready for the president's report. You already done that
have not
throughout the evening? Oh, okay.
talked a lot, not before.
Okay, all right.
A few things just to highlight and bring forward there. First of all, I would just want to give credit and thanks to our IT and instruction and outreach departments. Over the course of this summer, the college has been installing Zoom-enabled classrooms in all the service area high schools. These Zoom-enabled classrooms allow us to extend educational offerings to home area high school students to participate in dual credit courses without leaving their high schools. Allows them to be able to stream live into college classrooms here on campus so that they have live instruction with our instructors. This project was one that was funded, if you'll remember, through the $1 million congressional directed fund request that we secured last year through the work of Senator Moran. So we have our outreach locations. So Holcomb, Lakin, Leota, Scott City, Garden City, Achieve. They're all fully connected. I think all of them.
There are a total of 7 rooms left. Yes, yes. They prioritize, and I wouldn't call us behind schedule by any means. IT's had a bunch of huge lifts. They are, they prioritize the schools that had classes ready to go live. And this fall, they will continue to work on the ones for schools that go live in spring. So we're well on track, and it's going well. I didn't mean to cause alarm.
Nobody's waiting.
No one's waiting.
But it's been, I mean, this is a huge lift that just helps to enhance education as we go forward. There's been, you know, with anything there that's technology related, there's barriers and things that you have to work through, particularly when you're trying to tie into a structure that networks and other outreach locations. I can't say enough for the work that IT and our instruction and outreach departments have done. We'll have all of our. I also want to draw attention to a new partnership that we brought on board here this semester. College has partnered with the Association of College and University Educators. We're providing training and research-based teaching methods to promote student success. So currently, we have 33 full-time faculty, which accounts for half of our full-time faculty who are participating in learning instructional skills, really that are focused on everything from student motivation to learning to persistence with students in the classroom. This cohort will complete 25 learning modules throughout this year and then implement and evaluate the teaching strategies in their courses each week. The faculty who complete this program then will earn a national recognized certificate in effective college instruction through ACUE. But it's just, again, one, and I applaud the efforts, instruction to be able to put focus on professional development and enhancing our pedagogy and our skills within the classroom there. Last couple things, we've we hosted our first GCK Proud Community Pep Rally last week. Excited about a lot of the work that we've done with Chamber and Downtown Vision and the high school to really bring this to fruition. We will be continuing to host GCK Proud Community Pep Rallies in Stevens Park during Food Truck Fridays for each of our home football games this season. Different teams, different individuals will be out there representing the college and just trying to gain interest and improve image and make them aware of coming to the games on Saturdays there as well. And then the last piece is just letting you know that we will have our first alumni homecoming tailgate this year, which will be on Saturday, September 23rd at 11 a.m. So we're inviting all of our members of the new Alumni Association out to be part of the tailgate, recognize and get a chance to have them back on campus. A lot of great things happening, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Tailgate at 11 a.m. to 10.
Tailgate will start at 10. Yeah.
I am very interested in the ACUE certificate program that you guys are initiating. To me, it sounds like a big endeavor. And first of all, I'm proud for you guys to finding it and offering it. And then I'm even more proud that 33 faculty are signing up for it. And 25 units that they have to complete. I mean, that's a lot of hours that's probably not paid, right? Or it's on college time, sort of, or maybe not. Anyway, what I'm building up to is I would like for us, the board, to endorse this program. And I don't know if there's any way that we can provide an incentive to these folks or an achievement, a stipend. I don't know if you guys have talked about that.
We actually have.
Yay.
So, as part of bringing this to culmination, it was important that we look. So each of these 25 units or modules take approximately 2 to 3 hours each to complete. I'll kind of let Mark talk to the specifics, but a lot of what we worked out, at least for year one, and now we'll work on continuation of funding, identify funds to be able to incentivize it there for this first group going through.
So we're using the structure provided in the negotiated agreement. Faculty have the ability to track either college credits that they complete as a part of continuing education or clock hours. And I couldn't tell you off the top of my head the exact number of hours, but if they fill out a form to pre-approve those. They track them. HR keeps a bank of hours that have accumulated, and once they hit a certain level, they can apply then for salary advancement. And then that goes into our budgeting process for the next cycle. So HR is communicating with finance to anyway. So we're using that structure that's in that negotiated agreement
Okay.
to provide a compensation.
I might add that the rate increased from $630 for 6 hours.
I appreciate that addition. That $630 had not changed in really quite some time. So
can you explain that? So if they attend 6 hours of CEU, they get a stipend? No,
they get an adjustment
an adjustment.
to their base, and it's to incentivize continuous improvement and learning.
Wow. And so these 25 credits or CEUs apply to that.
Yeah, and they'll be counted not, Carla mentioned 6, that would be credit hours, or I
Mhm.
think it may be 9. But clock hours are significant. I think it's actually 90 clock hours.
Okay.
So this experience will not get them a permanent adjustment, but it will certainly contribute and get them quite a long ways down the line.
Okay. So like you said, the 2 to 3 hours per 25 units is at least 50 hours that they'll, okay. Anyway, that's a lot and I appreciate it. How about you guys?
Yeah, we need some incentive.
I just see that number came up. That was the big adjustment.
But it just been overlooked.
It really hadn't, it just really hadn't come up in negotiations. But through, what I'll say, well, because we don't have a salary schedule, faculty are placed based on their education and their experience. So there's no movement on on a traditional salary schedule. So they, several years ago, identified some disparity among long-term faculty members and new hires. So through identifying that, we looked at all the pieces, this being one, that although when we have been adjusting the placement formula when we give a cost of living, since the formula was implemented in 14, this aspect had never changed. So in order, so that's like, that didn't make sense. So, if, so it needed to be adjusted.
Short answer.
Sorry.
Good.
Thank you, thank you.
Is your report over?
It's over.
I guess we're ready to go to health service program review. We have
Thank
made
you
her
for
wait-
your patience.
Made her wait long enough.
Yeah. Introduce somebody who probably doesn't need much introduction there. Trish Miller is our campus health nurse, and she will be talking through the highlights here from her program review of health services.
Good evening. I don't know if I need this, but
Yeah,
I might. I do need it. Okay. I'm Trish Miller, the college health nurse here at Garden City Community College. And I'm a registered nurse, and my office is located right here in the northwest corner of this building. I'm available for all students, faculty, and staff. And I'm here Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4:30, and Friday, 8 to 4. Now, we offer quality health care to all of our students. When a student visits College Health, their needs are assessed. And if it's deemed necessary, they can be referred to a local provider. And there are multiple providers available in Garden City, such as Finney County Health Department, Genesis, Express Wellness, Sienna and Plaza Medical Centers, and St. Catherine Hospital. The Garden City Community College has an agreement with St. Catherine Hospital. And what that agreement is for a student to see a provider who has insurance, it costs them $10. So the hospital will bill the remainder to their insurance. If the student doesn't have insurance, it costs them $10. Now, that doesn't include every service they could get, but it is a handful of services that seem to fit our needs for the students when we send them to the doctors to be seen. We also, the college started a virtual care. That's a 24/7 telehealth program that we've utilized a couple times this year, and it's been really nice to have them available for our students. So did you have my, okay. So the population that we serve are on-campus and online students. And the majority of the students that we see are residential life students. We believe that the commuter student has their own primary care provider they use. And then, of course, those online students, if they're in Garden City, probably have their own primary care. But if they want to see us, they can come in as well. So talking about numbers, 2017 through 2022, the numbers of students taking on-campus classes and unduplicated headcount, which included hybrid classes, was about 1,470 to about 2,311 students. So how many students came in to see us at College Health? Well, in 2017 to 18, there were 326 visits. 18, 19, 236. 19 and 20, there was 208. But we have to remember that in March of 2020 to July of 2020, we started COVID and we were shut down. 2021 and 21, 22, those were our big years for COVID. And we did a little bit of different structure for College Health. We were shut down. We did most of our communication by phone triage. So in those couple of years, we saw 55 students and 73 students. However, we had 395 phone triage cases and 570 triage cases that we were dealing with that year. So when I think about Garden City Community College Health and what can be done to improve, I recognize a few areas to work on: student engagement, educational opportunities, and the services that we provide. Enhancing student engagement, we can offer some educational opportunities that include prevention and wellness. And we can achieve that by reaching out to the students utilizing social media, and that would include the Buster Biz app that we have, okay? Now, working on the service improvements, until recently, we noticed that immunizations, TB skin testing, and sexual health screening on campus were needed. And so in April of this year, Finney County Health Department and Garden City Community College got together, and we offer a outreach clinic. Finney County Health Department comes on campus to offer those services: the immunizations, TB skin testing, and sexual health screening. And the reason why there was a deficit of that is because of the cost of the immunizations. There was also the TB skin testing and the follow-up care to that, and the limits to my scope of practice. And we found that it has helped us tremendously for those students that, for their schedules, they're able to come on campus, and also if they didn't have transportation, it's helped them a lot. So as fall semester goes on, I'm looking forward to having Finney County here about one day a month. if we find that we need them here more, we've built that into the agreement, the flexibility of to offer more days here. And I hope that the students recognize the benefit of it and utilize the service. And that's what we're doing in College Health.
Trish, where do they come? Do they come to your office?
Yes, they're coming to College Health, and Finney County is here from 11:30 to 2 on the third Tuesday of every month. The last couple months, because Finney County Health Department lost some staff, they had to adjust those days, but we had a really good turnout, I believe. The last on-campus clinic was in August, and I think 30 students came. Yeah, and there was a lot of PPDs that we had to do for international students, some MMRs, and even some of the students that had some sexual health screening they wanted to take care of. So,
Very good.
yeah.
Thank you.
I was very appreciative of the role that you all took during COVID,
Thank you.
and it was really appreciated and helped this college so much.
Trish was a superhero
I know.
during that time and still is, but I mean, she didn't sleep at all when that was going on. And we were talking on the phone a lot, but she never stopped. She kept going.
Right.
And that's Trish Miller. She wants the best and the safe for our health and safety of our students. And she's still like that today, post-COVID. So she works, I mean, we have our hours from 8 to 4, 8 to 4:30, but she's on call and she always answers. She's always ready to assist our students.
Well, I had a lot of support from administration during COVID, and I couldn't have done it without that support, and I appreciated that a bunch. So I've written this several times because I started out saying, well, we made it through COVID. Then I took that out because I thought I better not say that. So,
That's right. You will get jinxed.
yeah.
Okay, one new policy that you have is the Narcan nasal administration policy. For you guys, that's for anybody with a suspected overdose of a narcotic. And I think it's important information. My question is, have we had to use it?
No.
Yay.
Yeah.
Where are
No.
those located around?
They're the AEDs. We have one in the DPAC in the hallway, the south hallway. There's an AED in there, and in each cabinet we are putting the Narcan. And then there's one in the John Collins Votech building, one in the fire tower, one in the library, and one in residential life. The campus police, because of a certain policy or something they have to write, they're not able to carry it on person, which would be great, but that they have to be able to do some things to be able to carry that. But we haven't had to use it yet. And but we have a great staff that is trained to use it if we need to utilize that. I don't have it. I have it in my office, but usually I don't have somebody OD come into my office, so we don't really need it.
All right, one more question pertaining to mental health. I feel like that is also a epidemic that's happening amongst this age group. I know that we have the relationship with Genesis for counseling. Tell me about, are you satisfied with that? Are you nervous for students? Are they doing okay?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. We're lucky to have Genesis counselors on campus, and yes, we keep them busy. I do a survey, confidential survey in my office, and we still need to get the education out there that we do have free services on campus. I don't remember exactly where we ended up last year. Was it 25% still didn't know maybe that of those that we had free services, but we do lots of on the Buster Biz app, we let them know and that sort of thing. And every student that comes into my office finds out that we have it and they're using it. So it's really a good service to have. Where this year we have them there Monday through Thursday, 2 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
If I could just add, jump on the Celebrate Trish Miller train. Trish mentioned in her report in enhancing student engagement, and I think that's a bunch of things. It's certainly getting awareness out there, which I know is a number you track about different services that are available. But Trish mentioned the Buster Biz app, which is our student mobile app for enhancing student engagement, which then leads, we hope, to more retention. And Trish has, in particular, this fall, like jumped in with, I'm just looking at the app now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different events. That includes the clinic being on campus, but 6 different events that are posted. Those go into a giant list that students can access. They can add those to their calendar. That's the type of organization that you just is extremely helpful to students, having those things. And it's all sorts of events, from certainly those clinics, but also eating right, staying healthy. I think the dietitian from Grow Well is coming out for that. There's vision screenings happening, free flu shots. You've done you do regularly a homesickness sort of thing. And then apart from that, posting on the student feed, which is like a Facebook wall, but posting, you know, things like, I forget the movie one it was, but it was like, hey, there's movies, but cheap movies.
$4 movies.
$4 movies at the movie theater, and those sorts of things. You know, we've heard in Dr. Ruda mentioned earlier the strategic enrollment management plan, and one of the things that consulting company did or helped us understand more was just the need for particularly students who are here living on campus, a sense of home. And so it's those tiny little things coming from all directions of the college that I think help create that sense of home. And it's just what Trish does is, you know, in COVID, outside of COVID, phenomenal. You're very, very appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the college and all of you. Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions for her?
I don't have a question for her. I have a question for Mark. Did we revise our program reviews to make it a little simpler? I know we talked about that last year.
In progress. I actually, no, there is a group that meets weekly or every other week that's working on it. I will admit to trying to multitask during this meeting. I was actually looking at a very early draft of a new review. And it designed to try and make that more simple for people. Absolutely. Yeah. It's on the radar.
Well, that's good, because, you know, with everything else Trish is doing, to take the time to fill out this thing.
Help. I had
It's-
Good.
but
Mark's help.
Sometimes not everybody has the help, the instructors.
Trish, thank you.
Thank you, Trish.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
How many other community colleges have what we have in Trish?
Nobody has what we have in Trish. Zero.
That's my.
There is. There's none better than Trish.
None.
Thanks,
Thank
Drew.
you. Do other community colleges even have a nurse?
Yeah, I mean, there are others that do. I mean, if you remember, you know, back so when Trish first started, we had this position as a 10-month position. So they were off in the summer. Well, you know, you fast forward here to the last 4 years, we brought her on, and Trish was completely on board. We had this conversation about the need to transition this to a 12-month position. So Trish is here now 12 months a year. And, you know, I think we're probably one of the few community colleges, until you get into the urban areas, that have a 12-month campus nurse. Most of them are 10-month. Some only have part-time. Some have none.
Well, I'm sitting here as I really appreciate that, and then couple that with the fact that our nursing program that we offer is at the top 2, and I just or hand in hand, maybe not, maybe I'm reading into that, but again, another step towards being the shining light at the top of the hill.
You remember when the
Better than
COVID
everybody
first
else.
came on and she fit us all with masks?
I don't-
Me either.
Okay. Anything on incidental information that anybody wants to bring up or talk about? Needs to be talked about. Pretty well explanatory. It's just. Anything you want to talk about in that, Dr. Ruda? Okay. Then we'll get our report from KCDC.
Now, there's 4 prospects interested in Western Kansas Corda site there at 83 and 83. Expect more progress after the first of the year. I think they're still working on the electricity. Sligo Station development is supposed to begin after the first of the year, starting with the residential part, I believe. Empirical site should be up and running shortly after the first of the year. The construction personnel that are doing the work say they like Garden City area and like to stay in this area if they can find work. So you have any major building things, because I think they're waiting on Empirical to do some work a year later. But same as far as doctor program that's in town or whatever, the internship, they have several applicants that like the Garden City area and want to come back, stay here. So we're doing something right in Garden City. That's it for my report.
Shannon's gonna do my KACC report because she went for me. I had a previous engagement.
And I can't do it near as well as that.
Oh, yeah, you can.
One of the first things we talked about leads right into what Trish was talking about with the Narcan. A couple of captains from Kansas City, Kansas Police Department talking about fentanyl, how little is required, and how important that Narcan is. So I was glad to hear that we had it various locations throughout campus, not just in a nurse's department, because it quickly administering the first dose is very important. Then we had Kansas Senator Ty Masterson in. You're already laughing at me and I haven't even started.
No, we're not laughing at you, we're
No,
laughing at him.
Ryan is. He took a lot of feedback, discussed some possibilities for funding structure changes in the future, and basically just got a lot of feedback on that and other challenges facing Kansas community colleges. We toured their renewable energy. They have wind turbines that they can train their students on, get used to the heights, the harnesses. They have a not live tower that they can train linemen without it being live. They've got solar energy panels. So they've got a whole program on all of these various renewable energy sources, which was neat to see. They really do great with their child care center and the educational opportunities that come with having that there on campus. Yeah, that's really the highlights of what that was. Some breakout conversations. I think that's the prevalent part to you guys. I won't keep you longer than that.
One of the things you do have a copy of the perception
Oh,
survey
yes.
and the highlights of the meeting. When Heather sent it to me, it was about that big. I sent it to Jody and I said, can you make it so everybody else could read it? Anyway,
but you guys have this here. Do you want them to fill that out?
no,
Beth?
I
Is that
just,
what you're-
no, I wanted it in your hands, so if you have an opportunity that you ever need to use something like this for the college or for anything else, I thought it was a fairly decent survey.
Oh, the next one is December 1st and 2nd down in Liberal. What they did do is have trustee and president fill that survey out. And I felt like Ryan and I passed with flying colors because we were almost exactly on where other colleges would be a 1 and a 5, and their president and trustee were just on totally opposite pages. So I was pretty proud of that for us. We felt like the winners. No, we weren't even at the same table filling them out, man. We're just in tune.
Okay. I guess we can go on to ownership linkage and
I have a couple of things, whenever you're
Right
through.
ahead.
I did a webinar today for the ACCT. And it was just an hour long, and I had signed up for it because the title was Latest Action in Washington Live, September 2023 edition. The very first thing they showed on the thing, the title of it was 2022 edition. I couldn't believe it. But anyway, they covered everything that Supreme Court ruling, student loan debt relief, affirmative action, Department of Education updates. I mean, Title IX, they went through everything, but there was so much that they tried to cover that I couldn't even, I mean, I could just barely get down the topics. It was kind of a rush thing. But anyway, every once in a while, if you see something, because ACCT puts stuff out that they're having webinars or whatever, they don't cost anything usually. So if you see something that you like, it's really easy to get on it, and some of them are really, really good. The other thing I wanted to mention is, and I mentioned it in the dinner, Betty Crouch was the first president's wife of Garden City Community College. She died over the weekend in Wyoming. She was 96 years old. She was very supportive of the college and was very active in the Faculty Wives and Women's Organization. The two granddaughters mentioned, or one of them mentioned to me that there will be a memorial later in the winter or probably spring. She will be buried in Topeka. So anyway, she was a good one. That's all I have.
Anything else?
Yes. I attended the 9/11 ceremony in the Fine Arts Building on Monday. Well attended. Wanted to commend Assistant Dean Brandy Unruh and Instructor Robert Scribner for their hard work in putting together, along with their students, welcoming everybody. They had the flexibility to move it from outside and had a packed auditorium, standing room only. Good thing the fire inspector didn't come out, but it was done, well done. So pass on those to them. That's all I had.
Bob, you don't have anything more to add on to Sister Janice? So she'll be here next week if possible. for
If
our
possible,
situation.
she'll be here. I told her to come maybe 7:15.
According to what we're doing tonight, that will be early.
Now, this
Well,
is
we
the
can
first
change
one
it.
back at the school year, really.
Right. Y'all need to fill out your self-assessments. I will, having gone over the ones from last time, everybody's pretty much in agreement on everything. There's just a few exceptions. But one thing I would like to suggest tonight before we move on, at the back of this, Marlon's done a lot of work, and I'd like for us to, over the next month, consider who and how we want to put in place of inviting other people to come. don't want to try to get into it tonight because it would probably take us till midnight. But I think it's important for us to decide, do we want community members here? Do we want the CEO is a position to provide essential feedback to the board. It's key to ensuring the board has information and other resources. We need to know if we want all of that. I would suggest or hope that we all would sit down and have some ideas when we come back next month and put that to rest of what we want to do on that. I think it's important. Hear any comments? If not, we'll move to executive session.
We're done with ownership linkage. then?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the open meetings exception for personnel matters of non-elected personnel, which if discussed in the open meeting might violate the right to privacy, and that our president, Dr. Ruda, vice president of instructional services, Mark Malone, vice president for administrative services, Carla Armstrong, and vice president of student services, Colin Lamb, be included. The open meeting will resume here in the Ronald J. Scott Endowment Room in 15 minutes, hopefully to be shortly followed by immediate return.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?